Hey guys, welcome back. Today I want to show you a behind the scenes of a beauty brand that has been having a lot of success, and I want to tear down all the things that are working for it. So I get a lot of questions. Some of those questions are, Ray, like what's working for the beauty space right now? Like what's working for it? And we're actually had a brand that we got to $20,000 a day in revenue. And even beyond that, some days we were spending $20,000 a day on ad spend, and they were doing $50,000 a day in revenue. And I want to break down what actually got them there, because what's really cool about this story is I can actually reveal who the brand was. I can show you their ads, and I can talk about specifics, because this is a brand that they did so well that they were able to take things in-house because we grew them so much. And as they were leaving, we did an interview with them. They gave us permission to show all the great things that we have done with them. So you get the benefit to see and to learn what actually made this brand scale so much. So just for some context, this brand, we actually worked with them for 4 years. 4 years. But it was pretty turbulent time. Yeah, and over those 4 years, we did a lot of things. We made thousands upon thousands upon thousands of ads. But let me tell you their story, and then we're gonna dive into what specifically made them scale, because this is actually a really weird one where we scaled them twice. So this brand came to us right after COVID, and right after COVID, they were within the agency, and they didn't have much success with it. And we applied our creative strategy system and then how we produce creatives at scale. And then very shortly, within the course of 12 months or less, we scaled them to $500,000 a month. But the problem was this same brand, over time, it stopped performing. And here's why. Because this brand, Silly George, they're in the beauty space and they sell fake eyelashes, okay? And right after COVID, it was actually very popular. And so we were able to scale quite easily. There wasn't too many players in the space. But like all things, when you're doing really well, it breeds your competitors and it breeds competition. So they start coming in the space. And so this brand had a scale up moment and then a very hard going down, scaling down moment. Because over the course of between probably like 2022 to 2023, coming to 2024, things kept getting worse. We were making over 100 ads a month and it still wasn't helping it perform. And unfortunately, nothing was going to fix that problem. In this video, I'm going to teach you if that this is your space and your brand that's going through this. This is probably the reason why and what you have to do to fix it. So fast forward, we couldn't crack it. They ended up leaving, even though we were making 100 ads a month and we were the same team that scaled them originally. They ended up leaving and they went to 3 different agencies. None of those agencies could perform. And then right at the end of 2023, coming to 2024, they came back and it was a complete mess and disarray. Okay. And so what we did is we ended up telling them they needed to pivot. And I'm going to teach you what are the things that we did to help them pivot. I'm going to show you the ads. We're going to talk about the strategy. We're going to talk about what was the moment that everything started to click again, because 3 months later after coming back to us and them doing the right things and us doing the right things, we got them back to spending $15,000, $20,000 a day on ad spend. So here's the context. So this brand, they sell eyelashes. By the way, if you want to look at this case study yourself, you can see it on our website right here. We have it published. We even have an interview with the founders talking about what would that process was like as well. We even show some of the ads there. So this brand, the big problem was, and you see this all the time in e-commerce, is when you've had the same product in the space for a long period of time, and you're also being successful with it, other people are going to start selling that product because they can find it anywhere, frankly. And so what happened was over time, there's diminishing returns where things just got harder and harder and harder. A really great example is if you're like in the gummy space, trying to sell like ashwagandha gummies, for example, that is such a tough space. Like don't go in that space unless you do something that I'm going to teach you, and I'm going to teach you how you can still compete in that space. But I digress. And so over time, no matter what we did, no ad could work. We were probably making 100 ads a month and we're freaking good. And maybe 5 out of those ads would go on to spend a significant amount of money that we could keep performance up. And it was a tough grind because people had seen this in the market for a very, very long time. So we knew this because we've seen it before, because we know marketing psychology. And I'm going to teach you some of that marketing psychology in this video. And we knew the only way to scale again was going to be this one key advanced marketing process. Okay. And so what was that thing? Well, we actually call that in our space a mechanism. It's called a new mechanism. So I'm going to take you on a quick journey because I want to educate you on what this is, how do you use it, okay? And I'm going to educate you why this is actually really important. So every brand has competitors, or they have what we call a market, okay? What this essentially is it is a process that you take a product through when you have a very competitive market. It's the only thing you can do, frankly, to compete, unless you have some kind of extreme outlier where you partner with someone super famous and they use their notoriety or their clout to get people to buy your product, or you have some other kind of outlier as well. And that can be a creative performance issue. That could also be maybe you have something proprietary that allows you to crack it. So what is a new mechanism? A mechanism is a strategy where you make a product feel new and fresh to the marketplace. Now, there's different ways that you can do this, but let's just pause here for a second. So why are you doing this? So this brand, for example, they've been advertising for 3 years, getting amazing performance in the beginning because like there's so few people. Everyone started jumping on the bandwagon. And then for the 3 to 4 years, things just kept getting worse and worse and worse and worse because they were not the only person in the space, and they weren't the person spending the most money in the space. And so things kept getting worse. So what you have to do if this is your market, where you're in a highly competitive market, you only have a few options. Number one, you can try improving on the product. Now, this product had been around, and it's actually an important context is they weren't even the first person to sell fake eyelashes or glue on eyelashes. They weren't the first person to sell that either. So if anything, they were actually came later on from the first person. So number one, improving on the old product. What this does, it creates a new mechanism, because this whole strategy is how can we take the product and then make it feel new or fresh so that when people see it, they see it as something new, never been to the market before. You can reposition a product to make it look and feel new. For example, this brand also sold eyelash growth serum, okay? Now, they were one of the first people to sell eyelash growth serum, not the first person to sell the fake eyelashes, but they weren't the first to sell the serum, but they're probably like the third or the fourth to sell it. So there's still a lot of market opportunity, right? And doing that, we made an ad that made $3 million, millions upon millions, because it just showed a before and after of a girl applying eyelash growth serum just to one eye. And then what happens over 6 weeks, this one drastically looks so much bigger. And that's maybe it's an ad I can show you guys in this video. But long story short is that same growth serum, once that product became saturated and it was in the market for 3 years, because we were the people running the account after making thousands of ads for that same product, is we had to find a new opportunity. So in a great example of that, when we took the eyelash growth serum, and what you don't know is that it was actually can be used to regrow eyebrows or to be an eyebrow growth serum. So that's where you take the exact same product and you can reposition it into a different market, or you can make it look new or feel new. Step number 3 is you can leverage a current product to reposition to a new untapped audience. So that's an example of the eyelash growth serum, where you can position it to a new audience. That could be a totally different market like the eyebrow, or it can be up market, for example, an older demographic where they haven't heard of eyelash growth serum, because as you get older, eyelashes tend to fall out. That could be another example of repositioning it to a totally different persona ICP. So those are 3 things really you have to do. Now, why is this important? Because this is a process called market sophistication. So I made a video about this a while ago. Market sophistication, essentially, it tells you where you sit in your marketplace. You have 5 stages. The first to market means you are the first person to take this to market and no one has ever seen it before, right? So if I was the first person to take the eyelash growth serum to market, what that means is it can be very easy. Meaning I don't have to be complicated. I can literally just say what the thing is and I can run with that. Second stage means the competitors are starting coming in. So that means I have to do stronger claims, stronger benefits. I have to say it does it faster or stronger or better than other people. Now, when you get into the third stage, that means it's starting to be very competitive, meaning people have heard the same claims before, products have been around for many years. And so the issue here is now you have to do and make it sound new. So you can do it by introducing a new mechanism or a new process no one's ever heard of, or a different way of creating or different ingredients. Again, it has to be something new. That's the important part. Because in a stage 3, when there's a lot of competitors, it's getting really tough. There's a lot of people doing and saying the same thing. That is how you have to pivot. Before I start showing you the ads, let's just talk about this for a second, because I've taught this a lot of times in our mentorship group where we've had many sessions about it, many one-on-ones. And I think it's important that you understand why this is important. It's important for a few reasons. Number 1 is because when you're in a highly competitive space, like beauty, like any kind of cream or eyelash or hair product, it's so competitive. So unless you have some kind of edge, you won't stick out. And that's why this is important, because what happens is if you don't do this, you look and sound like everybody else. And so what that means is you are literally just in a shouting match. I'm better. No, I'm better. No, I'm better. No, I'm better. You can't win that way. You can't compete that way. So the only way to compete is you have to do something new. Also, why this is critical is because if you do this, what it can do is it can create a blue ocean opportunity, a blue ocean. For example, I'm happy I have this experience in hindsight because we've seen the full path of this beauty brand. We saw in the very beginning, when they were one of the first to market, they had false eyelashes. Performance is okay because they weren't the first. They were already in the market that people knew about. And then they created this eyelash growth serum. They weren't the first, but they were even the third or the fourth. And because of that, the market was so large. We could scale very quickly to where even one ad made $3 million. And back then we were spending $20,000 a day on that one ad and other ads. And so it created a blue ocean opportunity because the world's a big place. There's billions of people. Even if you're targeting like just the US or just Australia, for example, there's a lot of people there, especially for this TAM. So by creating a new mechanism, and there's many ways to do that, it allows us to do something new. But specifically in this case, because we did that, and then the brand didn't launch any new different products for years. They would launch additional variations, like for example, like the eyelashes, they had different styles, like different styles of how the eyelashes looked, but they didn't have anything radically new. And that was the real crux of the problem, is that more and more people came into space and there wasn't anything that differentiated them from somebody else. But the moment they created a new product in 2024, we scaled to $20,000 a day in less than 60 days because they did this right here. They did a slight improvement on an old product. I'll show you the ad here in a few moments. But instead of having false eyelashes, they created something new called pop-on eyelashes, okay? Now, why is that important? Because guys, it's the exact same technology, just a slight variation of it. So what we did was we knew because this was a slight variation on an old product, so it's not fake eyelashes, it's not glue-on eyelashes, it's not magnetic eyelashes. Those are all the eyelashes that were in the market before. No, they're now pop-on lashes. It makes it sound that's easier, it's faster, it's take on, take off, no work really required. But I'm telling you right now, the technology wasn't really different. How you applied it wasn't different. It was the positioning that was different, and it made it seem new and fresh in the marketplace. So in less than 60 days, we scaled them back to $20,000 a day in ad spend. Why this is critical is it's the only way to compete in a highly competitive market. The thing that really frustrates me that I've seen from brand after brand after brand, they have a lot of success in the beginning, and what happens? Eventually people are fully aware of the product for a long period of time and performance starts to decline, more competitors jump into the space, so you're having to create more ads and do more tests and more ads and do more tests just to maintain the same level of success that you had. And eventually, even that's not enough. There's a diminishing return where you could make 5 ads and you're scaling to $20,000 a day. And then over time, the things I mentioned start to happen. Then you need 50 ads a month to maintain it. Then you need 100 ads a month to maintain it because nothing works the way like it used to. And even though you're using different content creators and even different third parties to make content, you're testing everything that you know or you believe that can work and nothing's working, that's the problem. You're way better off taking your same energy and effort and going back to, okay, if things aren't working the way they are, how can I improve on the old product? In their case, they took the same application technology, made a very, very small change, repackaged it as pop-on lashes, and bam, off to the races. Or can I reposition it to a different audience, a different persona, for example? Or is there a way that I can reposition it to a totally different type of market need or desire? So that's why this is critical, is those things right here. But the last one, because it's what we all want, is the only way to scale again. And lastly, I think is even more important, I don't know about you, but I would much rather do things easy over hard. I would much rather do things the easy way than hard. And I kid you not, the amount of effort it took to maintain the old products at any level of performance and volume to help them just keep the lights on was just excruciating. It was hard on us, it was hard on them. But the moment they launched a new mechanism, right, in the form of a slight iteration on the product, everything, it's like a light switch turned on. Everything started working. We could make a fraction of the ads, and then they just kept scaling and kept scaling and kept scaling. And we went from a few out of 100 ads working and scaling to 100% all of our ads we launched with scale. Again, and that's not a commentary and saying that we're bad at what we do. No, we're very good at what we do. It's a commentary, and there's some things you can't fight against. Market sophistication and saturation, where people are saying the exact same things and it's incredibly crowded. There's not much you can do unless you make it look new and fresh, and there's ways to do that, and totally different ways to market something as new and fresh or to tell a different story. But unless you do that, it is going to be like climbing up Mount Everest, pushing a rock and a boulder up the hill. It's way easier to do the easy thing. All right. So the ads previously, we learned some things. We learned some really great marketing psychology tactics when it comes to working in the beauty space, especially when it comes to anything around the eyes, is everything we do is about attention, right? So one of the things we learned early on before things worked before is you have to do things where it's like really close and personal. Like this is almost like this is like hook baiting, meaning you're scrolling through the feed, people see this uncomfortably close shot of an eye. It's like the pimple popper accounts that we're crushing, or the chiropractic cracking in the backs. Like it's just like, it's sensory addiction where people are addicted to seeing things that are gross or up close, right? And we learned that. So when we launched the new line of pop-on lashes, we knew exactly what to work. But guys, this one ad, the moment that we launched this product, went off to make $1 million over 90 days, and it got us to spending $20,000 a day in less than 60 days.
Boxes look so pretty. They're so cute. They're pop-on lashes. They're one-step pre-glued lash extension clusters. They last 5 to 10 days. Come in 5 different styles. I'm going to try Rosy today. They also look like a more natural looking lash, which is more my vibe. So let's try. The instructions simply say to take the lash out and then press it like where your lashes meet your lash line underneath your lashes. They do come in different sizes, so you can map your own look depending on your eye shape. I'm gonna keep it super simple today. I'm just gonna go with like the cat eye, so which is usually like the longer outer corner to smaller inner corner. So let's go. I'm starting with number 12 in the outer corner. I'm just gonna come up really close to the camera. You're supposed to apply it right there at the end of your lash line meets your waterline. So that's one piece. This is piece 2. I've gone 12 again. And right there like that. So this is the 10, and I'm just gonna map it just like that. Press. I'm dead. I love. They were literally so easy. But I'm so into that. Let's do the other eye really quickly. Same mapping on this side. I literally...
Even a long ad, and you couldn't see it, but this ad has thousands upon thousands of comments of women commenting on their experience with other products and how easy that looks. This ad crushed. And like, I don't even think it was like a super well edited ad. The reason why it worked so well was the hook. So real quick. Because it creates curiosity, because the future of extensions is here, new pop-on lashes. That in and of itself, the very hook is and introduces the new mechanism to the market. And then it applied just a few things that we know about scaling beauty brands is how can we create some kind of sensory intrigue in the very beginning. That's why we took clips from part of the end of the video, pushed it to the front, which is the really close-up of the eye. And then what we knew, because this is a content creator that she had to shoot a specific way. Also, what we knew is you don't want to overproduce it. So we just want someone to do like a literal try on a video, very low editing, and just comment on her experience doing it. And that's it. And it freaking crushed. All right. And then the second ad that performed really well was a very simple one like this, where we tried to gamify a little bit to show the different styles. Because if you notice from the first video was this is pre-glued. So really the manufacturer's description, these are pre-glued lashes, but fancy marketing, we called it pop-on lashes, right? So create a whole new mechanism in the marketplace. And by the way, a ton of people have copycatted that now and they're jumping in on it. So this ad performed really well. I'll just turn the sound down a little bit, where we're able to show the different styles as it kind of rotates, from left and right as a person's putting it on. This just really overwhelmed the new mechanism of the product that you can have many different styles, pick and choose unlimited styles, and how easy it is to put on. So that ad also crushed. All right. And this ad was the third best performing and also crushed. And I wish I could say that this was our idea. This is actually the content creator's idea to show that how easy it is for a mom to put it on while doing all the other mom duties. And I think that's actually really genius because the reality is the majority of the people buying this product are moms or, they're single or newly married, but a lot of them are moms. And so to show the reality of how easy this is to put on, even while ton of stuff is happening in a normal household, was genius. So I like this ad because it builds believability. Believability that even you can do it when a normal person does it with the craziness of being at home, but also this works because it's not polished whatsoever. There's a lot of mistakes, a lot of not weird things, but there's a lot of interruptions that happen. And that is so unique because no one shows that, especially a brand doesn't show that. And that's why it worked.
What are you doing? What are you doing? It's like a rice cookies. Hang on for a second.
This ad freaking ripped, guys. There's a lot of great things you can take away from this. Just real thing is number one, showing the reality of the mom putting this on with kids interrupting them. And the fact that kids were interrupting them, it's a huge pattern interrupt to what you would expect from like a professional, big beauty brand trying to make everything overly polished. There was kids interrupting it. So this ad also had thousands upon thousands of comments of other moms saying, oh girl, that's so true. Oh my gosh, that's exactly what happens when I put on makeup. And that ad absolutely ripped. So that was the story in the process, guys. Like this wasn't fancy media buying. I kid you not. I mean, the ad account follows the ad account process that I've made many videos about. It was pretty much 2 campaigns, CBO, but the thing that did everything was the new mechanism. Like that's why I preach this on this channel all the time. Make your lives easier. Focus instead on new mechanisms, new positioning, more emotional positioning. Those are the 3 main things I like to talk about on this channel. It'll make your life 10 times easier. It's way better to do that than to try to make 100 ads, guys. Like the part about being a good marketer is the right levers to pull to not only make your life easier, but to create market penetration. This one change, just doing a slight iteration on the product, did market penetration and literally saved this brand. They're about to go bankrupt when they came to us. But we convinced them that we have to do a new mechanism. They turned around in 30 days, did a whole new mechanism. And within 60 days, we're scaling to $20,000 a day in ad spend again. So I would love to hear in the comments, like, what are some of your revelations from watching this? Because every time I tell stories like this about new mechanisms or new emotional angles or different positioning, I want to hear your feedback and your aha moments. Because guys, like, I don't know about you, like I've been doing this for a freaking long time and I would much rather scale things the easy way because as soon as we made that change in that ad account, guys, like we maybe need to make like less than 10 ads a month just to keep things fresh. And honestly, like within the first 4 months, those 3 ads I showed you just kept scaling. Like, so amount of effort and work we needed to scale that brand was a 1/10 of what it was before when everyone was banging their heads against the wall because nothing worked because people just didn't care about the product anymore. So let me know your revelations in the comments.